Hey, what's up guys, Junior. In today's video, we're going over the week of June 13th, 2022. This week only did one trade at -1. However, once you see it, it'll be a nail biter. Okay, first trade, or the only trade really, is the MNQ. So the context of this trade is the two gaps, right? We have one gap here, one gap up here. But overall, we're slamming down, and then we're starting to consolidate a little bit. We're doing gap, gap slide. I'm measuring this swing. It actually washes it and it grows, then continues. And then I'm looking, okay, well, will it repeat this little swing here that grew a bit? And the answer is no. Now, there is an argument to be made about a wash of this level and a slam down and continuing here. But the problem with taking shorts down here is the fact that we're against all these guys. And that's why I was a bit cautious for shorts. There was a possible sell initially right here, however, it didn't clear the wash pivot, so I stayed away. Over here, there could be an argument, left side entry, stop behind, with noise or behind the poke, the initial poke of the range. So something above right here. However, I didn't take it. And over here, I'm like, eh. But what I did use the swing for is to see if there's a swap or there's a change. And there was. Zoom, came back, there's a gap, nice impulse, roughly 50, well, exactly 50% pullback. And all in all, everything's pretty good. I was following these swings. So swing here, grew a bit, followed, zoom, entered on this pullback. Now, the thing to note about this trade is the stop management. I got low ticked. Now, did I get low ticked out of just pure coincidence, or is there something mechanical that could be said about it? In this case, I think there is. So for the true level, I like to either use the true level, or if there's the CIB that's past the true level, then I'll go behind it. For example, say if this pivot right here came all the way down, then went, or there's a bunching or something, then I put the stop behind this guy. Why? Because this is the pivot that changed the behavior of this leg down, right? The immediate swing. However, with this, I put a bit too much emphasis on it, and I use that as a stop plus noise, while there is the true level, and remember, it's a general zone, and you want to cover as many scenarios as possible. In this case, I didn't cover the true level scenario, and obviously the CIB is a bit higher up too. So all in all, I think a stop behind here would have been a bit more. Now, when I got stopped out, maybe, but the point is, this is an overall zone, right? And I think I cheaped the stop, not because I didn't want to lose, but because I was paying attention to the stop level behind the CIB, which was here. However, take the whole consideration, the whole picture, the true level based on the pivot, or a stop based on the pivot, suggested a bit lower. And then obviously a stop behind here, okay, that's a bit too narrow. You want a bit more noise. So you want it at least around, here would have been a bit more. So notice how the noise, right? So about that much behind there, I think would have worked out really well. Also, the frequency that I got in was a bit fast. However, I saw this as a good zone to get on because it was a nice swap. So I didn't want to be too cheap. I want a bit better. Anyways, if I had my entry here, a stop a bit lower would have been nice. And the target would be the gap. Now, the thing to note about this trade is that there's a gap, then there's this. I mean, it's kind of all equal. So either I take the graceful exit right here, or I do how I was going to manage it if I was in the trade with profit stops. I think this profit stop was fine if my idea was here. Why? Well, I'm risking this amount to make about 2.5, maybe 3 times the stop I'm willing to lose. So in terms of ongoing RVR for a profit stop, for an attempt to push, I think is adequate. Or I take the graceful exit. Either or, I think is fine. It's just depending if I put a bit more emphasis on, well, look, we're in it. Usually we tag it, then we go out. Obviously, this is gap, boom, one bar. This is a futures exchange, so you know something's up when the future exchanges are gapping, and they have been gapping quite a bit. And this is not even Sunday too, this is just midweek. Anyways, everything else being equal, I think it's fine. It didn't work out. In fact, it might have made, I think it pulled back, it might have tried, then just failed. So this, it decided to just poke it and then turn around. So if there was, I don't think there was a secondary trade to fill in the gap, but if there was, or in a scenario if there was, that would have been a stop out anyways. Okay, so the other charts I have here, just observations. This was in the beginning of the week. What is this? This is the MNQ. This is June 13th. So we have this measured move, which would be the blue swing. 1, 2. Okay, so we have at least 2 confirmed swings for expansion. Remember, I'm working on that, so I do want to note that. I was watching it here. Obviously, it tried. I was looking for a nice swap of the frequency. Arguably, it did it right here, right? But it's already near the bottom. Was it here? And it seemed more or less it's going into expansion territory. Whatever the case may be, I wasn't participating because it was just 6:30. So even if I wanted to, it doesn't matter. May have been a stop out. What I was interested in is maybe a wash here or potentially an expansion. You know, this is probably a gap, comes down, consolidates, gap down again. So an area of interest. Now, as last week I mentioned, I do not want to take trades that are near the bottom or that have already reached the bottom. However, I want to see what happens when there's an expansion in the context, right? So this is not just a regular swing that I'm measuring. This is an expansion. So, you know, entry here, stop up here. It did bleed quite a bit, but a stop behind the true level, or at least a poke. Oh yeah, true level, whatever. Behind here would have survived by, would have been nerve-wracking, but it did continue. So the question is, for expansions, can we take it when it's already reached the bottom? Because this is already reached, it's right here. You know, the absolute bottom is down here, but you know, we're running into these guys. Do we really want to sell? At the same time, this expansion, 1, 2 waves, we swapped already. You know, we're trying to take trades up here. Maybe the better idea is if it's an expansion where I reach the bottom, maybe buy the entire top. I don't think that's necessary because we're looking for a reversal. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, it worked out. Maybe it's an anomaly or maybe it's not. We will pay attention to that going forward. And that'll be it for this week. I will mark down the trade comments. True level or stops on true level, buy or cover the most scenarios, because that's what we're doing with the CIB, right? Say CIB came a bit lower and we're still not doing a stop behind this guy, behind the entire CIB. Well, we're trying to cover everything. So that's the spirit of the nuance between this trade, right? There's the one where it just zooms out, comes back, enter, true level stop, fine. But if there's stuff in between, then we can use that as a potential frequency that the market can go back to, which would be coming back to the scene of the crime, right? So stops on the true level, cover the most scenarios. Scenarios? I don't know. I'll fix that and post if it's wrong, if it's typo. Stops on true level. Cover the most scenarios possible. Yeah. Now, thing to make sure, to make clear, I'm talking about the CIB pivot. I don't mean it goes like, comes here, then comes up here, you know. I don't mean putting your stop behind here. Why? Because I'm paying attention to the frequency it's doing, which is that one. So this is where I expect it to change. So if it does the CIB here, well, this was just in the middle. But that would be based on true stop. We're not grabbing the pivot that's down here. Why? Again, because we're following this swing. A little delayed. We're following these swings. This swing's some little micro. This is based on this one. So just to make that distinction. Okay, so short one for the week. That'll be all for this week. Till next time, guys. Adios.